Hello and welcome to a Believing Heart podcast, a podcast where I talk about video games and the like. I'm Mario 8th, I'm the host of this particular podcast, and welcome to the season finale of Believing Heart podcast. Episode whatever, I don't usually say the episode count. Either way, welcome to the show. If you want to follow me on other places, I'm going without a script today. If you want to follow me on other places, my @ is @Mario8th. I'm currently on a few different places. The two I'm pointing to right now is co-host or Tumblr. Or if you'd like to see the video games I'm playing, I keep it up to date on a list on ggapp.io. I'm also still on Twitter, although I think that's mostly going to be just for updates if you don't want to, subscribe. Or you can subscribe to my YouTube at youtube.com/ and I think it's /@Mario8th now. YouTube updated their whatever so that now they use @ symbols for whatever reason. Who can say what the engineers are doing over there? Either way, I did miss last week's episode. Some things came up that made it so I was unable to record in my studio, or my bedroom, as most other people would refer to it as. And so now I am here, recording one final last episode because I felt like I kind of should. And for this episode, I'm going to do a little bit special with it. I have been thinking long and hard about what my game of the year is going to be this year, so I thought I'd go to the ggapp.io 2022 games list that I've been keeping track of all year. What I've subtitled as Games I Played in the Year of Our Lord 2022. And I'm going to go through and kind of discuss each game and kind of give a rough idea of what's going to wind up in my top 10 games. I'm not going to make a finalized list in this episode. I'm going to wait for that for the first week of the new year, in which case I'm going to put a more scripted and formal video of my top 10, which will be split into my top 10 2022 games and my top 5 2022 games and my top 5 2021 games that I just so happened to play in 2022, as I did the year before. But for now, I have 33 games on this list, and I also kept track of another list that tells me which date I've either beaten them or completed them. And so let's start from the top. So the first one I have on the list is Animal Crossing New Horizons. Now, this is the year I did stop playing New Horizons, but I got a couple months in until I don't remember exactly what came up that made me stop playing, but I did eventually just kind of fall off. I just ran out of things to do. There are technically a couple more things to do, but the general grind of playing it was just, okay, I've done this almost every year for the past 2.5 years. I think I'm done. And I'm done. I've played Animal Crossing like twice since I stopped playing back in the first half of the year. Either way, it's a good game, but it's not going to be on this list. It's too old at this point. But I appreciate my time with it. Now, technically, I started playing Get in the Car Loser in the last week of December 2021, I started playing it, but I didn't finish it until this year. So Get in the Car Loser is the first full game on this list that I beat and completed. I think I only finished this one. Yeah, I only finished this one. There's still some DLC that when it's all out I want to jump back into, and I also didn't finish all the quests. I really enjoyed my time with Get in the Car Loser, so much so I made a video about it. Link will be in the show notes. I love this game. It's great. This one's definitely going to shoot up in the top of my 2021 list for sure. I love the art, I love the music, I love the story it's trying to tell, and how we need to collectively rise up against fascism as soon as we start seeing signs of it. It's a great game. Love it. Everyone should play it. It's only $10 plus 10 more for the DLC. Definitely worth a shot. And I'll of course talk about New Super Mario Bros. Wii, which is the next game on this list, a little bit more in my Mario in Review video. That is coming out the second week of January. So I'll save most of my thoughts for that video, but I mean, it's New Super Mario Bros. Wii. A game that I happened to also play alone, so I didn't even get to play the 4-player gimmick of it. It's a little rough. I also replayed A Short Hike. A Short Hike has quickly jumped up into one of my favorite games ever. I love this game. It might become an annual game for me. I think I bought it on the PS5 or the PS4, whichever one it's technically 4 this time around, just to play through it, get the Platinum Trophy, had a great time, spent, I think, less than 4 hours this time around. I just love visiting that little island and walking around. It's like the fourth time I played it, so it's not going to be on my GOTY list, but I really appreciate it. If you haven't played A Short Hike, I cannot recommend it enough. And then here's the first game that, it really pains me. I played Deathloop, and I made a video on Deathloop, link in the show notes, but I don't love Deathloop. It's a strong like. I liked my time with this game. Completing it wasn't so bad. It forced me to get good at it, which, I mean, fair enough, but I didn't enjoy completing it too much because I didn't like the gameplay enough to really want to complete it. But I didn't even wind up completing it because I am not good enough at the multiplayer. So there are like 3 multiplayer achievements that I have not gotten. So I don't have the stupid platinum, and I don't have anyone to just help me get it. So if you have it, let me know. Please help me get the Deathloop platinum. And they even added more trophies later this year, or earlier this year. So now I'm like very far behind on completing this stupid game. I don't think it's a stupid game, but the fact that I can't complete it makes me resent it all that much more. It's really frustrating. Please help me with it. Also, in Mario in Review, I played and completed again Super Mario Galaxy 2, video coming in a few weeks. Really love this game. Great game. Is it better than Galaxy? Is it better than Sunshine? Who knows? You'll have to wait and see until that video comes out. Now here's another game that's definitely going to be up there. I think about this game a lot, partially because the soundtrack is so good. Death's Door. Right now, of the 2021 games I've played, Get in the Car Loser and Death's Door are like 2 really strong ones. I felt the combat was fantastic in Death's Door. The ambiance of each of the areas, especially when you're out of combat, paired with the music, it just feels so good. The characters are so adorable and fun to interact with. I also made a video on this one, link in the show notes. You'll notice a pattern, huh? Really love this game. This one's also up there. Then I replayed Super Mario 3D Land. It's a pretty good game. More on that in the video. I think this one's coming out February. And then I just had the hankering to play Super Mario World again. Now, for context, I replay Super Mario World literally every year. And so this is when I got my yearly playthrough in. I've actually been hankering to go back to it again already. That and Sunshine. I haven't played either of them just yet. But yeah, this is when I played it. Super Mario World, one of the best games ever. It's go watch the video to find out where it ranks on my 2D Super Mario in Review link. Ranking list link in the show notes. And then, right after I played that, is when the new Mario Kart 8 DLC started. And I had a great time. Now, I'll cover all of the year with the Mario Kart 8 DLC right now. This DLC has been fantastic. These courses are wonderful. I really love what they're doing with the third lap, changing up the course just a little bit where you're going backwards, or maybe all 3 laps you're going down different branches of the level. It's a really great time. I love Mario Kart 8 a lot, and this DLC is just more courses. And honestly, what more do you really need? I'm loving it. I'm loving this new DLC. I haven't even completed the most latest patch that came out a couple weeks ago, but I'm having a great time with it. Speaking of things I had a surprisingly great time with, the new Super Mario Bros. 2, I replayed that as well. Again, video coming out I think in February. This one is a surprisingly solid time, but more on that in my Mario in Review series, but I liked it more than you might think. Now for a game that I played because Waypoint was doing a Waypoint 101 on it. We Know the Devil is a visual novel about a few kids at a summer camp, and things go pretty badly for them. And it's a really great time. It's really short, and replaying it gives you a few different endings, but replaying it is also really quick. I really loved this game. I did write about this and a couple other games that'll pop up later in the last video, I think, before I started being Mario focused forever. I really love this game. I also like I don't know if I like it more than its spiritual successor, Heaven Will Be Mine. I'll just jump to that. I played that 3 games forward, but Heaven Will Be Mine are made by the same developers. Both of them involve queer young folks in situations that are overwhelming to them, and it delves into their stories and backstories excellently, where one is a summer camp, and it really has a good ambience with that. The other is space and big robots, and I love space and big robots. It's also a lot more reading. Heaven Will Be Mine. There's just so much things to read, and I happen to love all of that, but also all of that reading is really dense. It's hard to get through, where We Know the Devil is a much more straightforward story. You kind of get what's happening, and you just need to go through to the end. Heaven Will Be Mine is also like 3 times longer, I want to say. And so I like both of them a lot. Recommending them, it's like maybe do We Know the Devil, and if you like it, maybe try out Heaven Will Be Mine. Of course, they're also super cheap, like under $5 each or something around there. Great games, the both of them. Video on that is linked in the show notes, as well as on a later game I'll cover in just a bit. But first, finally, I don't know if you noticed, I covered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 games before finally getting to a game that actually came out this year, Kirby and the Forgotten Land. And I also made a video about Kirby and the Forgotten Land linked in the show notes, but I really loved this game. I played it twice. Once with my little sister, where she controlled Kirby and I controlled Bandana Waddle Dee, where I got to enjoy the level design, I got to love the music, and I got to have fun watching her have fun. And then I did a 100% playthrough later. My goodness, what a great game. I love this game. Definitely up there in 2022 games. It's the only one in 2022 games, but geez, what a beautiful game. I'm so glad we were able to get something like that. They beautifully managed to take what 3D World did for Mario, or I guess technically 3D Land, but with what 3D World did for Mario, and just do it again with Kirby, and it worked perfectly. Continuing on with Mario, I mostly beaten. There's a couple challenges left in New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe that I didn't finish, but I completed both of the main campaigns. It's a pretty solid time. It's at this point it got really redundant in terms of it's just another new Super Mario Bros. Game. But there's a lot of strengths in there too if you can look past the repetitivity, whatever, of it all. Anyway, video on that. That one might still be late February, early March. Can't remember. Alright, this is then when I played Heaven Will Be Mine, and then I played through another 2021 title, Solar Ash. And this game is solid. It has really good gliding mechanics, and a lot of the puzzles and level design was good, but something was just a little off about it for me. I did make a video on this, linked in the show notes. How many of these have I not made a video about? Mario Kart 8, A Short Hike. Those are the only 2 I've talked about that I've never talked about, so I guess I'm putting a lot of links in the show notes. Anyway, Solar Ash is a solid time. It's solid. It's not fantastic. I was hoping for more out of it. I was hoping for a little bit more of the Pathless, and the Pathless had more interesting environments, I want to say, and slightly better puzzle design. But for what Solar Ash was doing, I liked it. I also thought the music was a bit off. Or not off, but less than I wanted in Solar Ash. And then I played through Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury, completing both of them, despite saying I wasn't going to complete Mario 3D World again. I love both of these games. It's a fantastic collection. It's also been a very short time since I played it again, because it came out, 3 years ago now? 2 years ago now? Great games, though. Again, more on that. This one, for sure, is coming out in March for Super Mario in Review. Then I played Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, and also I technically completed the original Stanley Parable too. In the original Stanley Parable, all I did was turned it on, and it had been over 5 years, so I got that trophy, and then I had to leave it on all day for the duration of a Tuesday, which I did, and I got the Steam achievement, completed that. Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, though, what a beautiful game. I also did a video on that where I put on a voice, and I see that apparently the voice I did for this literally only video on the entire channel was off-putting to some people. I thought it would be obvious I was putting on a voice to try to emulate the narrator of Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, but guess not. I guess that wasn't clear enough that I was putting on a bit. Either way, if you want to watch that video, linked in the show notes. I think it's a good video. I think I pronounced one of the creators' names wrong, but don't correct me on that. And it's a great time. I really liked the DLC. I thought they did some really innovative stuff. The fact that this is only half a new game, and also I really liked it, but I don't think it's going to be in my top 5 probably for 2022 games. It's going to be high in my top 5. I'm not too sure because it's great. I loved it, but also it is more Stanley Parable, and there's some other games on this list that are did a lot more with what they were doing. For instance, next, Norco. Norco is definitely going to be high up on my list. It right now, of the 3 2022 games, it is fighting hook and nail with Kirby. I loved Norco. I've never played any point-and-click adventure games like this before, but I just had a beautiful time with it. The story it was telling was fantastic. The world that it crafted with its narrative and prose was beautiful, matched with a fantastic soundtrack and gorgeous pixel art. Oh, I can't, not enough people played Norco this year. It is so good. It got snubbed at the Game Awards. It is so good. You can also watch the video. This is the third video in the 3 stories video, where with Heaven Will Be Mine, We Know the Devil, and Norco, so I spoke a little more on my thoughts on that in that video, linked in the show notes, as I already mentioned. What a great time. Now this I think I did make a video on this one, Bugsnax, the Isle of Big Snacks. This one I'm not including, it is just DLC. It's another area for you to travel and collect big bug snacks in. This time they're really big until you shrink them, and then they can be small, and then you can catch them. It's a really enjoyable time. It also had some wild extra stuff after you explore the Isle of Big Snacks. I had a real good time with it. Again, Bugsnax isn't my favorite game ever. I think I made 2 videos on Bugsnax now. Links are both of them in the show notes. I like Bugsnax. It's not my favorite game ever though. But it's really charming. I think that helps. How charming this video game is. I still want to eventually get the Bunger plush that they're selling. I've also started using Bunger as like, Bunger. Like, oh man, oh darn, Bunger. It works. I like doing it. It's weird. Never mind. Moving on. Super Mario Odyssey. The final Super Mario Bros. Game I'll be talking about on this list, because it's the final Super Mario Bros. Game thus far. Now, I beat this one, and then I immediately started working on Mario in Review, and I'm crossing my fingers that I am able to put out Super Mario in Review, which this will be airing on March 10th specifically. No, this will be airing the week before March 10th, so very beginning of March. I'm crossing my fingers that I'm able to get through all of Mario in Review before Nintendo announces a new Mario game. I'm probably safe. Probably. But I'm really hoping, especially since it's going... Or maybe my SEO will be fantastic, because I'll be finishing Mario in Review on March 10th, when Nintendo might talk about another one. But they don't usually do stuff like that, so probably not. Anyway, Mario Odyssey, good. Look back in a few months to see my full thoughts on it, and where it ranks with all the other Mario games. And what is airing on March 10th, I'll just mention, is when I combine my 2D and 3D lists, and I'm going to put out the full, however many hours long it'll wind up being, video of all the Mario reviews, and then the merging in one final package also on the 10th. So if you want to watch the feature film of Mario in Review, that'll also be out on March 10th. Looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to it being finished. I've been spending a lot of time on that. I should mention every video is done except for the final one, and so that's exciting for me. Finally can focus on working on other games for the games I'm about to talk about. For instance, Unpacking, another 2021 title. This game was really cute. I don't think I wound up liking it as much as other people talking about it on the internet were, but it was telling a really nice story. The gameplay mechanic was pretty nice. It was fairly therapeutic to be able to unpack these boxes and put this stuff elsewhere. and it told a good story. And through the gameplay, like when you could or couldn't move objects in the room, said a lot about what environment you were in, as well as just what environment the character you're controlling was in general. It's a real solid time. I was originally going to make a video on it, but I just never did. I have all the footage for it. I just never got around to it. I will say sometimes it felt frustrating trying to get objects placed exactly where I wanted them to, and I was playing with a controller to get the shiny platinum trophy, so it took a little bit longer to move across big parts of the screen just because I'm not using a mouse. Real solid time though. Now this is the first game I talked about on this podcast. It's Horizon Zero Dawn. I completed that a bit earlier on. When did I complete it? I have this other list with the dates right here. I completed it 9/11. Whoops. So I completed it September 11th, so I was playing it all through September and whichever month is before September. August, yeah. Maybe a little bit before that. I was playing it for a while. It's like a B game. Horizon Zero Dawn is a really solid B game. Like it's nowhere near it's nowhere near as good as the other game. It was contemporary to Zelda Breath of the Wild, and whenever I get to its sequel, it's probably not going to be good as Elden Ring either. I should play Elden Ring. That's one game that is definitely on my I really need to play list. Now, this is also when Splatoon 3 came out sometime around here. What I did was I started playing Splatoon 3 because that's when the Splatfest happened. And then what I did was I went back and I played through the single player of Splatoon 2, completed that, bought and played through the Octo expansion, loved that, and then went through and played through the Splatoon 3 single player campaign, also loved that. And I tell you what, I am a really big fan of Splatoon now. The Splatoon 2 base single player was pretty good. It was a really good introduction to all of the weapons in the game. But oh my gosh, the improvements Octo expansion made, that game is wonderful. I loved Octo expansion. It was a great time. And then they only improved upon it in Splatoon 3 by giving you a real overworld map and reducing some of the prices and continuing to innovate on the level design and the way the weapons are used. Splatoon 3's single-player campaign was fantastic. Splatoon 3 is underrated in terms of single-player. Most people play this game because of the multiplayer. And I did play a fair chunk of the multiplayer, usually just the Splatfests and the Big Run that came out the other day, and those are good. I like doing the Splatfests, and Big Run I had a great time with. I'd never done Salmon Run before, and doing Big Run for the first time during the event made me realize, I truly do only ever play Splatoon during the big events, huh? But the multiplayer is great. I really like the multiplayer Splatoon 3, but the story mode, oh my gosh, the story mode. Now this one I do have a video rough drafted out. I'm gonna put a video on that sometime, I guess in March, maybe April, whenever I get to it. I don't know. But I really loved Splatoon 2 Octo expansion and Splatoon 3, and Splatoon 2 was alright too. But I did play through all of those this year. The only one on the list is going to be Splatoon 3 though, since that was this year. Now Toem came out with some free DLC. If you haven't played Toem before, it's a really cute puzzle game where you take photographs of things and deliver them to people, and then that solves quests for you. And the more quests you solve, which they give you stamps when you complete a quest, then you're able to move on to the next area, and they unlocked a final area as free DLC, as almost a thank you for purchasing Toem. Toem is such a cute game. I really, really liked it. It's real short, only a few hours long, and it's just a wonderful time, and a really good ending, and the DLC's ending was also really good. The whole final area was really big, had a lot of good, interesting puzzles in it. I had a really good time. What was unfortunate then was I had 2 trophies left to get, but I just wanted to beat the game, see the ending, then I would go back in. And then I went back in, and then the game didn't load, and then it didn't load, and then it didn't load. And then I looked on the Twitter for Toem, and it said, oh yeah, we're aware of the infinite load glitch, we're working on it. And so, oh darn, well I'll get to it later. And then, a couple weeks passed, they said, okay, we did our final patch. If you still can't get in onto the load screen, you're gonna have to wipe all your progress. And I couldn't get in, so I had to wipe all my progress to get to the last 2 trophies. Now, they did give us a skip to get to the final area just immediately and get those last 2 trophies, but still, that was a really big bummer. I lost all the good photos I had taken before, but I got 100% trophies. It sucked, but still, that experience sucked, but the game itself was still so wonderful. I can't recommend it enough. Just don't roll the credits on the final area until you're done playing the game, I guess. And hopefully the bug patches they did will fix it for later playthrough, people who play through it later too. Now for another 2022 big hitter, Tunic came out, and I didn't get to it until fairly late in the year. I completed it 10-2, so I jumped into it right after I finished Splatoon 3. Oh wait, sorry, I'm looking at the dates I completed this in. If you're going top down, I completed Horizon Zero Dawn September 11th, completed Splatoon 2 plus Octo expansion September 29th, then that's also when I completed Toem DLC, but technically Splatoon 3 is first before it, and then I finished Tunic on 10/2, on 10/2. Oh right, I finished Tunic in the span of 3 days, and then I went back and played Splatoon 3, which I guess also only took a few different days. Either way, Tunic is a fantastic game. The level of explorability it hoists on the player and asks them to just go was fantastic. I loved pretty much every second. The combat wasn't great, but I didn't mind it that much until a section pretty late in the game where they're like, okay, this is very, very combat focused, and that part sucked, and anyone who's played the game will probably know what I'm alluding to. But the rest of the game was just beautiful, a beautiful game. I loved the puzzle mechanic of the game manual where it slowly teaches you how to play the game, but also there are puzzles integrated within the manual you're getting as well. It's just a great time. I loved Tunic. The music is real good too. And then, for whatever reason, I had the hankering to play some Shovel Knight. So I finally jumped into Shovel Knight Plague of Shadows and completed that. I don't like the Plague of Shadows as much as the original game. I felt controlling Plague Knight was it just never felt as good as I wanted it to. But it was still pretty good. It won't wind up on either of these lists. But it's a solid game. I'm excited to eventually get to Spectre of Torment and then King Knight. Both of those changed up the game a lot more, and I've heard are still really good, maybe even better than Plague of Shadows. And so I'm excited to get into those. Also, not on this list, but it's alluding to something that might be, is I played the original Psychonauts for the first time. And it's a real solid game. Some of the levels went on a little bit too long, but I enjoyed them regardless. It was very charming. I saw what they were trying to do way back then a lot, and I was able to appreciate it for what it was. And I'll just go ahead and jump into right now. I just finished. I rolled credits last night. I finished playing Psychonauts 2. I still got a few more things to go back in to complete the game, but Psychonauts 2 was a brilliant game. Like, they took everything from the original Psychonauts and made literally every aspect of it better. The level design was so much better. All the levels were paced incredibly well. The music was fantastic. The voice acting was still great. The area overworld map was a lot more fun to explore because it felt like there were more things to discover. Like, there are a few different side quests that you can find while you're exploring the big open world map now, and there's a much bigger open world map, much bigger than the camp in the previous game. And it's just really fun talking to everyone, exploring everything. The levels are, again, I can't get over how innovative the levels. There were a couple times yesterday when I was playing the last few hours of the game where I thought, alright, have they run out of ideas for new levels? And then every time, the answer is no. They kept coming up with ways to make these levels interesting and innovative and fun. I can't get over how great this game was. I had a smile on my face, like, the whole time. Like, there's a real good chunk in the middle that is just 10 out of 10 video game material right there. And again, I only just beat it. I've got more time to collect my thoughts on it. I'm also going to make a video on Psychonauts 1 and 2 sometime later next year, so look out for that. Great game. Loved it. Now, right after I beat the first Psychonauts, I did play through God of War Ragnarok. I did give a short little review on this podcast a couple weeks ago. More thoughts on that there. I still think it's pretty good. I think the combat's pretty good. The story's alright. The explorability of the world is fairly good, except for the more linear sections sometimes take a while to get through, especially when you're going back to collect everything. Some of the side characters are alright. Anyway, go listen to my podcast on that episode. Link in the show notes. It's solid. It's a solid time. And then the last game to talk about, I played through this game, Immortality, another 2022 indie game. I also talked a little bit more about that, I think, on the last podcast episode, but it was pretty good. I really enjoyed its reverence for film. The way that they filmed both the 60s and the 90s movies, you could tell that the creative team loves film and loves these eras of film and wanted to give it their all. But the overarching narrative of, and this is the tagline, figure out what happened to Marissa Martell, that was okay. It lost me at the end there. There is a scene that rolls credits, which is different from Sam Barlow's first two games, or other two, previous two games. But there's a scene that rolls credits, and that storyline was kind of, it's fine. Plus, I found quite a few glitches. I found it really hard to activate the thing in this game. But other than that, a really solid time. I don't think it's going to be high on my list, but it'll definitely wind up there. And that is all the video games I played in the year of our Lord 2022. There is one more game I'm going to try to sneak in, which may or may not bump something off from my 2022 games list. The Lil Gator game just came out, and I have been really excited for that game, and I want to get to it as soon as I can. I bought it already, it's on my Switch, I just have to get through it. I hear it's real short, I hear it's a lot like a short hike, and so I'm really excited to jump into it. Hopefully I can crawl out the time in these next couple weeks before the year ends. If not, it'll be the first game of 2023 that I wind up playing, and I'll have to hopefully remember it. If I like it enough, I'll have to try to remember to it like I did to Get in the Car Loser. Other games that I wanted to play this year but didn't have time are Elden Ring, Neon White, Symphony, the new LEGO Star Wars, the Skywalker Saga, Citizen Sleeper is a big one, Anno Mutationum, Heartspace Shipbreaker, Ollie Ollie World looked cool. I still haven't gotten to Moonglow Bay from last year. I still haven't gotten to Sable from last year. I still want to try out Stray. I own Hollow Knight and Disco Elysium, and I gotta get to those. I also own Sable, and I also own Citizen Sleeper. I also own Anno Mutationum. I own a lot of these already. There's just so little time to play video games. But yeah, those are a few of the games that I wanted to get to. Oh, also the new Horizon is on my desk. Yeah, a lot of different games. Not able to play all of them, but I can try. And I can lie to myself and tell me I'll be able to play all of them. Either way, that is all of the games I played this year. Watch out for my Game of the Year video coming out Saturday the 7th, assuming I get it written and figured out by then. I've got 3 weeks, I've got plenty of time. There's no major holiday in the middle that's going to take up a bunch of my time in between there, is there? I don't think so. I can just focus on Game of the Year. Anyway, thank you for listening. If you enjoyed, leave a rating somewhere. You can leave a rating on YouTube, you can leave a comment on YouTube, or you can leave a rating on like iTunes or your podcaster app if you're using one of those. Again, you can find me on social media such as co-host or Tumblr or Twitter for now, or ggapp.io is what I've been using this entire video to look at all the video games I played throughout the past year. Or of course you can find my podcast, if you're not listening to it there already, you can find it on anchor.fm/Mario8th, or you can find my YouTube videos and also this podcast on youtube.com/@Mario8th. I think the /Mario8th still works. I don't know, but YouTube wants you to use the @ now. Either way, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.